Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's explosive edition of our special report on one of the most shocking and intriguing developments in professional wrestling. Tonight, we delve deep into the story behind John Cena's unprecedented heel turn, a transformation that has sent shockwaves through the wrestling world, and the mastermind behind it all, Triple H, who has revealed in an exclusive interview just how he pitched this daring concept to the legendary superstar. In a move that defies 2 decades of unwavering loyalty to the babyface persona, John Cena has embraced a role that no one ever expected, turning his back on his signature image and igniting a firestorm of controversy and excitement among millions of fans worldwide. It all began at the famed Elimination Chamber event, where Cena shocked the arena and indeed the entire wrestling universe by launching an aggressive attack on Cody Rhodes, a moment that left fans reeling in disbelief. John Cena, who for over 20 years personified the ultimate good guy, had just executed an unthinkable twist in his character's arc by turning heel. The transformation was as sudden as it was dramatic. In a ring filled with anticipation and electric tension, Cena's actions redefined everything we thought we knew about him. But behind that shocking moment lies a meticulously crafted plan. One that was conceived by none other than Triple H, the former leader of Cenation, and an authority figure whose influence on wrestling storytelling is immeasurable. Tonight, we bring you an extended, detailed narrative that not only recounts every twist and turn of Cena's transformation, but also peels back the curtain on Triple H's creative process, offering you an inside look at how a wrestling icon's entire career pivoted in one breathtaking stroke. Triple H, in a recent chat with High Performance, opened up about a creative pitch that would forever alter the course of John Cena's career. Speaking with a candidness rarely seen in the industry, Triple H recounted how he approached Cena with an idea that was as bold as it was controversial. "I went to John and said, what if we pulled the lever that no one wanted to pull? What if we turned heel?" Triple H explained. To him, this was not just a gimmick or a temporary change, it was an opportunity to explore the uncharted territory of Cena's character, a chance to take him out of the comfort zone of his well-established babyface persona and challenge him to reinvent himself in a way that was utterly unexpected. After all, for over 20 years, John Cena had been the embodiment of decency, courage, and relentless determination, a beacon of heroism who had never once strayed from the path of righteousness. But as Triple H saw it, there was always a latent potential for transformation, a secret narrative waiting to be unleashed if only someone had the vision to push Cena beyond his familiar boundaries. Triple H detailed that during their initial conversation, he presented the idea not as an insult or a suggestion that Cena had run out of things to offer, but rather as a necessary evolution. "If you never do it, it's just always dangling there," Triple H said, emphasizing that the concept of turning heel was always lurking at the edge of Cena's legacy, like an untapped reservoir of dramatic potential. He argued that by finally taking that leap, Cena could show the world an entirely new side of himself, a side that would be complex, conflicted, and most importantly, refreshingly unpredictable. The proposition was clear. It was a challenge for Cena to prove that even after 2 decades at the pinnacle of babyface glory, he could still reinvent himself, defy expectations, and take on a role that would cement his status as a truly versatile performer. As Triple H passionately outlined his vision, he explained the setup of the Elimination Chamber storyline. The plan was intricate yet masterfully simple in its execution. During the event, Cody Rhodes would be given an opportunity to join forces with The Rock, a move that would signify a willingness to abandon his principles. But when Rhodes ultimately declined, Cena's actions would blur the lines of loyalty and betrayal in a manner unlike anything ever seen before. In the planned scenario, Cena would be initially perceived as standing alongside Cody, a symbol of rebellion against established authority. Then, in one explosive, heart-stopping moment, he would turn on The Rock, unleashing a barrage of brutal strikes that would signal his complete transformation from a beloved hero to a despised villain. Triple H recounted that when he first floated the idea over the phone, Cena was initially silent, a listener who weighed every word carefully, as he had done countless times during brainstorming sessions over the years. But as Triple H unfolded the entire concept, from the mechanics of the storyline to the emotional underpinnings of the heel turn, something in Cena shifted. It wasn't Jay. You asked about the theatrics. It was about an internal reckoning. John Cena, who had always been a fighter in the ring, also had been fighting an internal battle in his mind for years. A battle against the criticisms that he was perceived as predictable, overly sanitized, or in the eyes of some fans, merely a walking collection of gimmicks that bordered on the repetitive. For Cena, the idea of turning heel wasn't just a professional challenge, it was a chance to tackle his internal demons head on, to confront the notion that he might be running out of ways to surprise and engage an audience that had grown accustomed to his relentless heroism. In his conversation with Triple H, the veteran executive insisted that for the story to resonate, it was crucial for Cena to genuinely believe in the legitimacy of his actions. Even heels need a reason that makes sense to them, Triple H declared, emphasizing that what would drive Cena to commit such a radical shift was a sense of accumulated frustration, a feeling that despite doing everything right for over our 2 decades, the criticism never stopped. Even after countless accolades, championship wins, and moments of pure, unadulterated heroism, Cena had been labeled by some as Super Cena and accused of having a limited repertoire of moves. Comments that had piled up over the years like the dust on an old trophy shelf. Triple H painted a picture of a man who, in his final hours as a babyface, recognized that the only way to secure one last monumental moment was to embrace the darkness that lay within. A darkness born not from malice, but from the bitter realization that the time for change was long overdue. With an unyielding determination to challenge fate, Triple H recounted the vivid exchange. What if at Elimination Chamber, Cody is asked to sell out to me, and he says no, and you're there, and it looks like good for you for telling The Rock to go fuck it himself. And then the unthinkable happens. The Rock looks at you and you hit him in the nuts and beat a dog so he's out of him. You sell out. This was not a call for mindless violence, but a meticulously planned act that would force the audience to re-examine everything they knew about John Cena. In Triple H's words, the character of a heel must be layered with justification, something that makes even the most repugnant actions seem to stem from a place of deep-seated conflict. It was a narrative twist that would allow fans to see Cena's internal struggle laid bare on the grand stage of professional wrestling. For Cena, this idea was both a challenge and a revelation. In our conversation with Triple H, he described how Cena's reaction to the pitch was one of complete surprise and intrigue. Wow, I didn't think that's where you were gonna go with this. That's bold, but I fucking love it, Cena supposedly said, expressing an enthusiasm that could only come from someone who recognized the potential for reinvention. It wasn't that Cena was eager to abandon his past entirely. Rather, he saw this as an opportunity to add a new dynamic chapter to an already storied career. In that moment, the very notion of selling out transformed into a complex, multi-layered concept where heroism and villainy were intertwined, each giving depth to the other. For fans accustomed to seeing him as the paragon of goodness, this was a challenge to reimagine every preconceived notion about his character. And for Cena himself, it was a chance to prove that even after 20 years at the top, he was willing to take risks, to evolve, and to delve into the darker recesses of his persona to create something fresh and compelling. Triple H's narrative of the creative process was as detailed as it was audacious. He explained that for the heel turn to work, the transition had to be believable. Not a mere act of betrayal, but a natural progression triggered by a lifetime of feeling overlooked, underestimated, and criticized. Cena, ever the professional, understood that to transform into a true villain, he needed to be motivated by something more than a simple change of heart. The proposal hinged on the idea that after years of doing what was right, constantly performing his greatest hits and living up to the expectations of the audience, Cena was beginning to feel the weight of his legacy. That weight combined with the unrelenting pressure and the never-ending critiques of his style, his moves, and his persona, culminated in a profound sense of desperation. a desperate need to break free from the confines of his past self. If you're not challenging yourself, if you're not pushing against the boundaries, then what's left? Triple H asked rhetorically during our discussion, highlighting the inherent risk and reward of such a radical shift. The timing of the heel turn was no accident either. It was meticulously planned for a moment when the stakes were at their highest. The Elimination Chamber event was a defining moment in WWE's calendar, a stage where legends are born and new rivalries ignited. By choosing this platform, Triple H ensured that Cena's transformation would be witnessed by millions, cementing its place in wrestling history. The anticipation of fans, the roar of the crowd, and a cascade of social media buzz all served as the backdrop to a moment that promised to change everything. The planned sequence of events was crafted to evoke a sense of disorientation and exhilaration. First, the appearance of solidarity with Cody Rhodes. Second, a shocking betrayal that saw Cena abruptly turn on The Rock. And finally, an explosive beatdown that would signal the definitive end of Cena's run as a beloved hero. It was a narrative designed to blur the lines between loyalty and treachery, between tradition and innovation. As the creative discussions evolved, Triple H emphasized that every detail had been considered. Cena needed to feel that his actions, however drastic, were not unprovoked, but were a logical outcome of a lifetime of accumulated pressure. Even as a heel, Cena's motivations had to resonate with the audience. There has to be a twisted kind of logic to it, Triple H explained, recalling how he detailed every nuance of the pitch. In your mind, you've done everything right for over 20 years. And yet people still say you suck. They call you Super Cena. They say you only have 5 moves. What if in your final hours you decide you're going to flip the script? What if you decide that because you're not as fast or as strong as you used to be, you have to do things that you never would have done before? This was the catalyst that would ignite Cena's transformation, a moment of bitter clarity, where the hero's journey took a dark, unexpected turn. For John Cena, the challenge was as daunting as it was exhilarating. The prospect of having fans hate him, the very antithesis of everything he had built his career upon, was both a creative and emotional gamble. It meant reinventing himself in a way that would alienate those who had supported him for decades. And that in itself was a monumental risk. But it was a risk that Cena embraced with his characteristic intensity. I could come in, do my usual moves, and it would be easy, he reportedly told Triple H during their conversation. Or I could be challenged. This is challenging. This is a juicy role. How do I make these people truly despise me? In that statement lay the essence of what makes professional wrestling such a compelling spectacle, a collision of ideals, emotions, and larger-than-life characters all vying for the audience's attention. The implications of Cena's heel turn extend far beyond a single match or a fleeting moment of shock. They represent a seismic shift in how we perceive one of the most iconic figures in wrestling history. For decades, John Cena has been the personification of perseverance, honor, and an unyielding commitment to doing what's right, no matter the cost. Yet as time marches on and the arena of professional wrestling evolves, even legends must adapt. In embracing the role of a heel, Cena acknowledges that the passage of time can erode even the strongest of personas, and that to remain relevant, he must constantly reinvent himself, even if that reinvention means stepping into a role that goes against everything he has ever been. It is a testament to his enduring artistry that he is willing to embrace such a radical transformation, to walk the tightrope between adoration and vilification in order to create a storyline that challenges both himself and his audience. As we look ahead to the upcoming edition of Friday Night SmackDown on April 18th, where Cena's newly minted heel persona is set to make a thunderous impact, the anticipation is palpable. This go-home show, imbued with the promise of monumental confrontations and dramatic twists, will serve as the grand stage for Cena's transformation. Following that explosive night, Cena is slated to challenge Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE Championship at WrestleMania 41, a clash that will undoubtedly determine not only the fate of the championship, but also the legacy of a man who has dared to defy the very expectations of his storied career. Will Cena's transformation pay off? Will he emerge as the new champion and secure his place as one of the most dynamic heels in recent memory? These are the questions that will echo through the corridors of wrestling history in the coming weeks and months. In the midst of all the strategic maneuvers and backstage scheming, one thing remains abundantly clear. The creative minds behind WWE, led by visionaries like Triple H, have once again succeeded in shaking the very foundation of professional wrestling. By challenging John Cena to step outside of his comfort zone and embrace the darkness that has long lingered beneath the surface, they have not only redefined the parameters of character evolution, but also reminded us that in the world of sports entertainment, reinvention is both a necessity and an art form. Every twist in the storyline, every unexpected betrayal, every moment of intense emotion on the screen is a testament to the ever-changing landscape of wrestling and John Cena's willingness to lead the charge. Now, as we reflect on tonight's in-depth exploration of one of WWE's most daring moves in recent history, we are reminded of the power of storytelling to captivate hearts and minds. John Cena's journey from a symbol of undying heroism to a complex, conflicted heel is not just a narrative of transformation. It is a poignant reminder that even the mightiest heroes can be forced to confront their vulnerabilities, to question their legacies, and to redefine their place in a world that is ever hungry for change. In his acceptance of a role that turns everything on its head, Cena has proven that true legends are not defined solely by their victories, but by their ability to evolve in the face of relentless adversity and ever-shifting expectations. As the electric energy of WrestleMania 41 looms on the horizon, and the world watches with bated breath, one thing is certain. John Cena's leap into villainy is a moment that will be remembered for generations to come. It is a turning point, a moment when the lines between good and evil blurred into a spectrum of emotions and experiences that defy simple categorization. Triple H's visionary pitch, delivered with unwavering confidence and creative ingenuity, has set the stage for a storyline that is as multifaceted as it is thrilling. In challenging Cena to explore the darker corners of his persona, Triple H has not only created a narrative of unparalleled depth, but also provided a platform for one of the greatest performers in wrestling history to prove that his evolution is far from over. As we bid you farewell tonight, we invite you to join us in contemplating the intricate dance of creativity and reinvention that defines the world of professional wrestling. John Cena's shocking heel turn is more than just a moment in time. It is a bold, daring testament to the power of transformation, a beacon for all who dare to dream and defy expectations. It is a challenge to every hero, every icon to embrace change and to boldly step into uncharted territories, even if that means facing the darkest corners of one's own legacy. Thank you for joining us on this remarkable journey into the heart of a revolution that is shaking the foundations of WWE. As we close tonight's program, remember that in the realm of sports entertainment, nothing is ever certain. Only the thrill of the unexpected, the passion for innovation, and the enduring spirit of those who dare to rewrite history. Stay tuned for more explosive updates, dramatic twists, and the latest insider insights from the front lines of professional wrestling. Good night, and may the fire of reinvention continue to light our way through the ever-changing tapestry of this incredible world.